is a way in the Odyssey program for you to create learning paths for your students without having to use the NWEA. So if you were looking to have additional information or additional learning paths for your students, here's one way that you can accomplish this. You can go to Assignment and then Test Builder. So you're basically going to be building a test based on standards and how those students do on that quiz or test will automatically assign them learning paths on those particular standards. So if you were teaching math and realized I didn't really get to fractions yet and the math test is coming up, let me give them a quick little assessment on Odyssey, and then it would give them a fraction folder to work on based on how they scored on that assessment. So I went to Assessment, Test Builder, and excuse me, the first thing you have to do is build the standards out. So I'm going to just choose Common Core, and my subject is math, and my grade level is second grade, and I can search by keyword or I can just move on next, and then they'll give me a list of all of the math standards. So I'm not going to want to choose every standard because then the test could get to be ginormous, like maybe 100 questions. You wouldn't want to, burden your students with taking yet another exam. But if you were looking for specific skills, if I chose this whole topic, I could give them these skills, and this might be about 25 questions for them to work on. Or if I just want to see subtracting within 20, I can choose that one, and I can use counting within 1000. So I can use a whole subject strand, or I can go down and break it into individual targets. So once you choose your targets or your objective strands, you can press next, and now it's telling me, okay, here are all of the objectives and items that are going to be in my test. And this is a good way to gauge how many questions your students are going to guess. So usually a standard is for each target there would be 5 to 8 questions on that target. So here are the questions that the students would have been asked. Excuse me, this is telling me they're all multiple choice. If I'm happy with this, I can press next. If I want to change it, I can go back and uncheck some of those standards. So I'm going to go to the next button, and these are just giving me some options. So I'm going to name the test. This would be, I'm just going to call this example for video because I don't want the kids to really do this. And then I'm going to enter a message for my students. Please, take this exam, or whatever I want to say, answer the questions. Okay, and then do you want to allow them to have multiple sessions to finish it, or do they have to finish it one time? Can they turn it in early? A base mastery score by default is 70%. You can change that if you want. And if you wanted to build that learning path for you, we just keep that marked yes. So that means after they finish this test, however they scored, learning paths will be assigned to them automatically. And then there's some other options. And then you could press next. So we pick the standards, we pick the objectives, we just kind of set some properties. And now, I thought I clicked, I'm clicking next and nothing's happening. Okay, it just took an extra second. So now I'm going to get my confirmation. Here's this confirmation, and then I'm going to save this. It may take a minute. Now, what I really just did was build a test. If you noticed, I didn't assign it to anyone yet. So after this saves, computer's really slow right now. After this saves into my system, we are going to have to go and now assign to the students. Okay, so it finally saved, and once it saves, it's going to bring you automatically into your assignment builder section. So you'll notice we're not in assessment anymore. The system automatically moved us over to assignment builder, and this is the assignment that we just made. If you want to look at it again, you can look at the details of it. If you want, you can edit it still. And then this is the learning path that is attached to that assignment. So what I want to do is I'm going to select both, and I'm going to click on complete assignment. If you don't name it, up here, it's going to give it that weird name, so you could just put this in. Okay, so like earlier, you give the assignment a name, you choose the order you want it to go in, you choose both of these items, and then press complete assignment. From here, you can choose, you can leave all of this, or you can give it some more information, and then you can press assign to students. I have to pick a subject and a level. So this was math, grade 2. And now I'm going to press next. So then I choose my class. I want to give it to the whole class, or you can open it up and just give it to some students and press finish. Now, here's my confirmation. All of these students have received the test, and that's it. So now when the student logs in, goes in and they go onto their math section, they're now going to see grade 2 and then the video. So I'm going to click on example for learning. This is what a quiz would look like. They use these at the top. They can have it read to them. If there's words, they can answer the questions, move to the next question. I'm going to get some of these wrong on purpose. I just want to show you what happens when you're done with the quiz. This looks just like straight computation. Remember, this is based on the standards that I picked as the teacher, so depending on what you pick, your questions will be different. They were asking me a question. You can't hear them, but they're saying it. Sorry, I think we're almost done. If you notice up here, it says I'm at 19 out of 19, so I don't mean to bore you. When they're all done, you can press stop as the instructor. You can have them stop on the last question. Don't press stop until I check it. Then you can click on that circle and make sure they answered all the questions. And then you have completed all the items. Do you want to turn it in? I'll turn it in, and then it opens up the learning paths for me. And if you notice, this one's grayed out because I scored high enough on this activity that I don't need to complete that activity. So on these two standards, I have to complete these activities because my score on the assessment wasn't high enough for me to skip that activity. So that's how that would work.